All right. Good evening, everybody. I am Krista Hawkins, coming from Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and a qualified national marketing director with the Juice Plus company. And I'm super excited to introduce a power couple who's they're going to spend a little bit of time with us tonight, just sharing their heart and their story with us. It's pretty amazing. And this company is just so incredible with the development and with the people. And that's how I got to meet Jana, who is one of the speakers for this evening. And I know you're going to just fall in love with her and their story so much. So I want to introduce Dr. Kenneth Stephenson. He is an orthopedic foot and ankle specialist with the Center of Orthopedic Surgery in Lubbock, Texas, which is Western Texas area. He attended Lubbock Christian University and received his medical degree from University of Texas Health Science Center in San Antonio, Texas. And his orthopedic residency was at the University of Tennessee Campbell Clinic, which is super exciting. Go Tennessee, right? Memphis area. And he completed his subspecialty training in foot and ankle surgery at Mayo Clinic and has been in private practice since 1996, which is really exciting. He's a board certified a doctor and surgeon and is married to an amazing woman who is Jana Stephenson. She is a retired nurse. So we have a doctor-nurse couple here. She is a certified health coach and wellness coordinator for her sweet husband's orthopedic surgery practice. So that's just a power couple right there. They have been married 32 years and they have 3 children, which is so awesome. And they're super active, as if being a doctor and a nurse and having a practice isn't enough. They run half marathons and full marathons, and they do bike rides, and they are completing the process of becoming foster parents, which is really incredible. And I know that's a big, big passion of theirs. So I'm just really excited that you are spending your evening with us, and I cannot wait to hear what you have to say about your thoughts on health and nutrition and why that makes so much sense to you. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Oh, thank you, Krista. Wow. Thank you all for taking the time to be here. I know there's a lot of other things you could be doing, and so the fact that you are choosing to take your time to be here, I so appreciate. Okay, sorry. That's okay. We're gonna share our screen here in just a second, but let me just tell you a little bit about us, and then I'm gonna hand it over to Ken. We actually were introduced to Juice Plus about 8 years ago, and for about 2 years we took it kind of sporadically. We really just ordered it to support a friend of ours, and didn't see a real need to. You see, we felt good, we were active, and we thought that we were healthy because even though we're healthcare providers, we really didn't know, we were never educated on that connection between nutrition and health. Now, we knew the connection between lifestyle, and we knew it was important to be active, but we didn't know that health connection. But let me tell you, so we thought we were healthy, but what we did have was we had this huge, terrible history in our family of breast cancer, type 1 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, lung cancer, stroke. My mom had a stroke. This was all our immediate family history. And so I thought it was just a matter of time until we too suffered those things. But it was through exposure with the Juice Plus culture that I learned different. And so about 2 years in of just kind of taking this sporadically, our friend came to us and she said, "Do you want to see the research behind this?" And that was a game changer for us because after we spent time looking at that research, and then, like I said, exposure with this community, we learned that through nutrition and lifestyle, we actually have the power to turn on and off those genes that predispose us to these diseases. And so now we even have a published study that proves that by looking at it. And so by realizing that, then we realize, okay, this is the real deal and this is important. And we began learning more. And so with that realization, it gave me the belief that, yes, this was an important thing to begin taking and giving to our children. But it was the rock solid research behind the product that gave my husband the assurance that he needed to be able to start sharing this to his patients, because he saw studies that show that Juice Plus in the body does good, beneficial things. And he's going to tell you a little bit more about that. And so after about 2 years of just taking the product, we finally decided that we were going to join the mission. And so we've been doing that for about 6 years now. We haven't looked back since. And so I'm going to turn it over to him. He's got some great information. We're going to share our screen and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Can y'all see that okay?
Can you see that title slide, Healthy Living Revolution? Okay. All right. Well, we don't need to go there, but the state of health in America is crazy right now with insurances, with Obamacare, single payer plans, the expense of health care, what insurance companies will cover, what they won't cover, deductibles, co-pays. It's crazy right now in America. But we spend $2.7 trillion a year on our health, but we rank 28th in the world for life expectancy. So we are not a healthy nation. And some of the leading causes of death in America are heart disease and cancer. Alzheimer and diabetes are in the top 10. And Dr. Sears says that 75% of all chronic disease is preventable. We don't do that well in Western medicine. And Dr. Katz said that this may be the first generation of children to have a shorter life expectancy than their parents. It's really sad. The number one killer of Americans is heart disease. It's been the most pervasive killer of Americans for about 100 years now. 1/4 of all Americans will die from cardiovascular disease. And 1/4 of those people will never have a symptom until they have a fatal heart attack. It is the number one killer of men and women. And women are 8 times more likely to die from heart disease than from breast cancer. But speaking of cancer, it is a close second in the cause of death of Americans. 22.5% of Americans will die from cancer. And actually, men get cancer more often than women. 47% of men will get cancer, and the most common is prostate cancer. 38% of women will get cancer, and the most common is breast cancer. The World Cancer Research Fund just recently published that 1/3 of cancers in economically developed countries like the US are related to being overweight or obese, a lack of exercise or inactivity, and poor nutrition. And all of these factors are preventable. Well, diabetes is on the rise in America. 1 in 3 Americans are diabetic or pre-diabetic, 1 in 3. And from 1990 to 1998, so just one decade, one 10-year period, we saw increases in the age group from 50 to 59, so a 31% increase in diabetes, a 40% increase in the 4th decade, a 70% increase in diabetes in the 3rd decade from 1990 to 98. The reason this is important is because it significantly increases our risk of heart disease and stroke. It is the leading cause of blindness. Diabetes is the leading cause of kidney failure. And it is a leading cause of amputation. Just yesterday, I had to do a revision below knee amputation on a guy that was born 1 month before me, and he had type 2 diabetes. Well, obesity, as you know, is on the rise as well. It has doubled in America in one generation from 1976 to 2000. And now 1/3 of adults are obese, and two-thirds of adults are either obese or overweight. And 1/3 of our children are obese. And this is a BMI chart. I want to encourage you to know what your body mass index is. You can find this on the internet. And anything between 25 and 30 is overweight. Anything above 30 is obese. And the reason that's important is because of several studies that have been published in the last 15 years from the Journal of the American Medical Association, the New England Medical Journal, and it says that being overweight is the #1 reason why people age faster and die sooner than they should. It is associated with heart disease, diabetes, stroke, high blood pressure, cancer, and even death from any cause. And a BMI, a modest BMI of 30 gives you an increased risk of heart failure by 85%. It also increases your risk of osteoarthritis significantly. And osteoarthritis is one of the leading causes of disability in the United States. There's lots of different types of arthritis. There's degenerative, post-traumatic, inflammatory, and infectious arthritis, but it affects 50 million adults and 300,000 children. And speaking of inflammatory arthritis, autoimmune disorders are on the rise. There are 50 million people living with autoimmune disorders, and 75% of them are females. And it is one of the leading causes of death in women that are younger than 65 years of age. And it is a leading cause of disability in women. There's over 100 different autoimmune disorders. Just in the last week or two, one of our friends was diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis. One of Jana's siblings was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes mellitus within the last couple of months, an autoimmune disorder that attacks the islet cells of the pancreas. And as we're going through the state of health in America, osteoporosis is a very significant medical problem. 1 in 2 women will sustain a fracture at some point. 1 in 4 men will. And if someone has a hip fracture, there's a 20% mortality rate within the next year following a hip fracture. So it is a very significant problem. We are over-medicated in America. 70% of Americans take prescription drugs. And the #1 prescription drug is a Lipitor generic. That's to bring cholesterol down. And then you have Synthroid, then lisinopril for high blood pressure, then Prilosec for reflux disease, and then metformin for type 2 diabetes. How about in the elderly? We have a problem that's called polypharmacy. Most elderly patients who are in the healthcare system take 6 to 8 medications, and they purchase 40% of the over-the-counter medications. And so there's a very likely risk of adverse drug events in people that are taking multiple medications. And one of the biggest problems is non-compliance. For them to try to remember when to take their medication, what time of day, how many they're supposed to take, there's a 79% non-compliance rate. And let's talk about the cost of healthcare. This is data from this year, that the average family monthly premium is over $1,000. And the average family annual deductible is over $8,000. If you're an individual, 55 to 64, your average monthly premium is $701, and your annual deductible is over $4,000. The average family of 4, the medical costs that they spend in 1 year is over $11,000. And the average family of 4 spends more than $4,000 on prescription drugs. Now, if we owned this Audi vehicle, this high performance vehicle, most of us would know what to do with this. We would put the right kind of gasoline into it. We would get the oil changed. We would rotate the tires. We would get the air filters changed. We know how to maintain a vehicle, but our bodies are vehicles too. Our bodies are machines. Our bodies are well-tuned machines. And why do we treat our bodies differently than we do a vehicle? Unfortunately, the standard American diet consists of more than 60% of processed foods. Most Americans, less than 10%, eat unrefined plant foods like fresh fruits and vegetables and beans and raw nuts and seeds. And it leads to a weakened immune system and frequent illness and a shorter life. I like this graph. This is from 1960 to 70, put out by the World Health Association. And it shows plant food consumption in the green bars. And in the orange bars, it shows death from heart disease and cancer. And if you look across the bottom, you can see each country. And there's an inverse relationship with plant food consumption and death from heart disease and cancer. So if you look at Laos on the far right, they have the most plant food consumption and the least death from heart disease and cancer. And you look at USA, second to the left, and you can see the problem. So over the last 100 years, what has changed about our consumption of food in the United States? We've gone from from eating 5 pounds of sugar per year to 170 pounds per year. We've gone from 0 gallons of soft drink in the 1900s to 53 gallons per year. How about oils? We've gone from 4 pounds a year to 74 pounds. Cheese from 2 pounds to 30 pounds. Meat, 140 pounds to 200 pounds. And produce down from 131 pounds to 11 pounds per year. Our calorie intake in 100 years has increased from 2,100 to 2,757. That's an average of 657 calories per day that we consume more than we did 100 years ago. How about exercise? 31% of adults report that they engage in regular exercise. But if you actually put a pedometer on them and verify it, only 3 to 5% of adults get 30 minutes of moderate exercise 5 days a week. And so most of us are like this. My doctor told me to start my exercise program very gradually. Today I drove past a store that sells sweatpants. We're going to have to do better than that because inactivity produces inflammation. And we know that there are higher levels of inflammatory proteins circulating in people that are inactive. What's happening is that it's called oxidation. And oxidation is interaction between an oxygen molecule and different substances they contact. So everybody's familiar with rust, oxygen and metal, okay? But what's happening is that one of the atoms loses one of its electrons, one of the paired electrons. And so when you have an atom here, a stable molecule has paired electrons. And a free radical is when one of the electrons has been taken away. And oxidation occurs in our bodies every day. We are oxygen burning machines. We breathe in oxygen and then we burn glucose and lipids and proteins. And when that happens, oxidation occurs. And so we have free radicals that develop in our cells every single day. And it's hard to think about when you look at someone as the whole person. It's hard to realize that we are made up of atoms. So we have organ systems, and then we have organs, and then tissues make up organs, and then cells make up tissues, and molecules make up cells, and eventually atoms make up molecules. So we are made up of trillions and trillions and trillions of atoms. And in our normal metabolism, we produce large numbers of free radicals. It's estimated that the average human generates 1 to 3 billion free radicals per day in every cell. And there's 100 trillion cells in the human body. Okay? And so that is a lot of potential damage to DNA and RNA and proteins and lipids in the cell walls. And our body has to be able to counteract that. Well, the way that our body counteracts that is with antioxidants. And micronutrients have the ability to neutralize oxidation. And the only significant source of antioxidants outside our body is from plant products, fruits and vegetables. So antioxidants will give up an electron to neutralize the oxidation process. So I want to contrast plant products and animal products just briefly. Plant products are high in micronutrients, as are listed there. Plant products are high in fiber. They're low in calories, naturally low in calories. They're low in fat, but much of the fat that's in plant products is actually good for you. And there's absolutely no cholesterol in plant products. Now let's compare that to animal products. There's low to very low micronutrients in animal products. There is no fiber in animal products. They're moderate to high in calories, moderate to high in fat, and much of that fat is inflammatory to our bodies. And they're moderate to high in cholesterol. So if you just look at plant products and animal products side by side, plant products are superior. As an example of the low calories for, naturally low calories for plant products, this is just a diagram of what 400 calories of food might look like in your stomach. So 400 calories of fruits and vegetables would fill up your stomach. How about in the middle? 400 calories of animal products might fill it up halfway. And on the far right, 400 calories of oil barely fills up any of your stomach. And so the stretch receptors in your stomach are not satisfied. They're telling your body, you need to eat more. I like Dr. Esselstyn's chart out of his book, Happy, Healthy, Long Life. And a lot of people, they are concerned when you talk about a plant-based diet about getting the proper nutrients our body needs, like protein. So what he did is he took 500 calories of plant products, equal parts of tomatoes, spinach, lima beans, peas, and potatoes, and then animal products, equal parts beef, pork, chicken, and whole milk. And you can see, for instance, protein, you actually have just as much protein in 500 calories of plant products as you do with animal products. And you see how beta carotene, the antioxidants, blow it out of the water compared to animal foods. And then look at your calcium. You have more calcium in plant products than you do in equal parts of those animal products listed. So it's a misnomer to think that you don't get the macronutrients that you need when you have a plant-based diet. So it helps us to create a new way of thinking about food. Every time we put something into our body, it's an opportunity to provide powerful protection for our health, or it's an opportunity to hurt ourselves. And so Jana and I used to think about food. We would think about macronutrients, like how much protein, how much fat, how much carbohydrates, how many calories does it have? But now we think about food as far as micronutrients, the vitamins, the minerals, the bioactive compounds, all of these things that are in tiny amounts in the foods, but are necessary for optimum health. So we don't even really look at macronutrients anymore. We consider micronutrients. And while we're talking about things that are good for our body, omegas are the fats that are needed for good health, and our bodies can't produce them. That's why they're called essential fats. The only source is food. And so omegas have very important effects on our bodies from our heads all the way down to our feet. So it's important for us to get omegas in our bodies. The healthy ones are found in things like flaxseed and walnuts, sardines, and salmon. And so I like Dr. Joel Fuhrman's health equation, that health equals micronutrients divided by calories. Very simple equation. So the more micronutrients we get in our body per calorie, we're going to be healthier. So a good diet is the most powerful weapon we have against disease and sickness. There's many studies that shows that plant diets protect against coronary artery disease. And what happens with atherosclerosis is it builds up gradually over time. You may be asymptomatic, but two things happen. It narrows the lumen for the blood to flow through there. And it builds up the plaque, and it inhibits the production of nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is one of these chemicals that our body produces to dilate our arteries to let the blood flow through. So in Western medicine, what we do is we put a stent in there and try to open that back up. But we know that there are studies that show that the more fruits and vegetables that you consume, the less risk of cardiovascular disease. And you can actually reverse atherosclerosis by consuming fruits and vegetables. Also, cancer prevention. It's been shown through numerous studies. 150 scientists reviewed over 4,000 studies. There was overwhelming evidence that fruits and vegetables and grains can prevent cancer. And I tell my patients that even osteoporosis, the best way to avoid osteoporosis as far as what you consume is with fruits and vegetables and cereals. I'll skip this, but the benefits of exercising are numerous. It helps improve bone strength, joint health, our circulation, our immune function. It helps increase our mood, and it decreases the risk of dementia, cancer, heart disease, and diabetes. There's a study published in 2006 that showed exercise resulted in a statistically significant delay in the onset of dementia. So the number of servings per day varies from 7 to 13, and some of that depends on your age, your gender, and your activity level. And this is where Juice Plus comes in, because it's very hard to get 7 to 13 servings of fruits and vegetables in our bodies every day. Even the most conscientious people struggle with that. But Jana and I regularly use Juice Plus products to help flood our bodies with antioxidants. So what about supplements? 68% of Americans take them. 84% of Americans think they're safe and highly effective. But are supplements good for you? And there are studies that show that isolated vitamins like vitamin E and C do not reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease. And the supplement industry is actually a very poorly regulated industry by the FDA. And so before you take a supplement, what are the things that you would want to know? I'd want to know, is it pure? Does it get absorbed into our body? And does it do good things when it gets absorbed? So the things that I've learned that set Juice Plus apart are, number one, it's a whole food nutritional product. It's not isolated or fragmented. It's the whole food that goes in to make these products, and it has a nutrition label, not a supplement label. It's backed by 37 published studies in peer-reviewed medical journals, has a 23-track-year record of safety, and it's third-party tested by NSF. And some of the places that it's researched are very prestigious institutions around the country and around the world. And they're published in peer-reviewed medical journals that are high-quality journals. And so Juice Plus doesn't claim to treat or prevent or cure any disease, but when I share this with my patients, I can tell them what happens to the human physiology when taking Juice Plus based on the studies. A study published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology showed that it significantly reduced constriction of arteries after a high-fat meal. It kept the blood flow going. This study that was published in February of this year was a fantastic study that they followed patients 40 years of age, obese and overweight, had a BMI of 28 and up. They followed them for 8 weeks. And what they found was statistically significant reductions in total cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, and inflammatory mediators like tumor necrosis factor alpha and C-reactive protein. There was an improvement in lean body mass and beta carotene. And so what happens when you take those capsules? How does it do all those things? And what they proved is that it altered the expression of 1,632 genes. It downregulated the genes that are responsible for lipogenesis, the production of cholesterol. It upregulated the genes with known anti-inflammatory effects. It upregulated the genes involved with insulin sensitivity. And so this tells us that there's a new study, there's a new field of study called nutrigenomics, the study of how nutrition affects our genes. And so we know now that our DNA is not our destiny, that lifestyle, including nutrition and exercise, trumps our DNA. As Jana mentioned, we can turn on and turn off these disease-promoting genes. And so in that study, it showed a significant reduction in the risk of coronary vascular disease. And if you look at all of the studies on Juice Plus, I just made a list of all the statistically significant increases in all of these antioxidants. Also, homocysteine it reduces homocysteine, which is related to death from any cause. It reduces inflammatory markers. It reduces days lost to colds. It reduces DNA damage in 2 different studies. And it reduces cholesterol, inflammatory mediators, and the abdominal fat around the abdominal adiposity in adolescent patients. It helps improve insulin resistance in adolescents and decrease triglycerides in adolescents. The complete drink mix, we consider that to be a healthy fast food. I want to show you, we drink it with light soy milk. And if you do that, you can have a shake for 190 calories. It gives you 9 grams of fiber, 19 grams of protein, 70% RDA of vitamin D, 90% RDA of calcium, and 90% of vitamin B12. We try to get at least 1 shake in per day, sometimes 2. So when you take the trio and the complete shakes, you're flooding your body with 45 whole food plant products. And now Juice Plus has an omega blend, 100% plant-based. Even the capsule is vegan. So my take-home message is to know your body mass index, to eat a predominantly plant-based diet, to consume as many micronutrients as possible. And that occurs through fruits and vegetables, and Juice Plus products can help you accomplish that. Eat safe seafood twice a week, or take omegas 100 milligrams per day, and exercise most days and get plenty of rest. It's never too late to start, because the human body makes 200 billion cells every day. And so the thing that I have observed about healthy living is not only is it for you, but it also influences your friends and your family to do the same. So inspiring healthy living around the world is the motto for Juice Plus, and we have embraced this motto as well. and we love the Juice Plus community. I was going to talk some about the business, but I think I'm running out of time, so I will just leave that to Krista if she wanted me to cover the business at all, but otherwise I'll stop there. Let's see.
You're muted, Krista. You're muted. We can't hear you.
Let's see, do we need to do something?
There we
Okay.
go.
Yeah.
Now can you hear me? All right.
Yeah.
There we go. That was absolutely amazing. And I want to thank you all so much. I know for me, so many big takeaways, but I think the biggest one is just that it's never too late to start. And you armed us with so many good tips. And I love that you had, the takeaways of, know your BMI. And that's something that we can all figure out and take away, and to, eat more plants, and if we don't eat any plants, then just start somewhere, right? And I just love to, getting plenty of rest and exercising, or at least, moving your body. Those are all things that we can do. And I'm so thankful that you shared this amazing message, with all of us. And I know that it's going to touch quite a few people along the way. So thank you so much for your time. And I'm gonna stop the recording, and then we can open it up for some questions if you're okay with that.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Let me stop the recording. Thank you.